Part 2. Again, people, the mass majority of people we associate with being wild-ass Africans are not, and let me repeat, are not of the specific Adam and Eve. They, just like their European and Middle Eastern counterparts, are new and fresh subhumans who ascended with the sole purpose of subduing and having dominion upon the earth. Think about it like a mad geneticist for just a minute. The very fact they can track their migration through genetics can only mean the subjects are not of the same original dad. For the original dad, in this case Ham, would be the baseline patriarchal stem for all, which can only mean if they were true Hamites, any subgroups mentioned as a baseline has corrupted or outside influence at a significant level to change that baseline. Basically, there is no way around the fundamental yet amazing fact. The majority of wild-ass Africans were/are generated people with a dollop of original man's DNA running through their veins through forced assimilation. Think about what you still want to believe logistically for just a minute. A people who were living in one small centralized coastal area somehow in some way and without warning had a sudden population explosion to the point they not only overran their area's banks, they became so numerous, like diversified the marauders, they had to take over 65% of all of Africa to finally have enough room. Mind you now, they were strong enough to assimilate everything in their path along the way. You can believe that if you want to. Or you can say, I've seen this before. And deduce, yes, deduce. When you look at the information before you coupled with the perception, they will even admit under the etymology subtitle, Bantu phonetically means, quote, the word Bantu and its variations means people or humans. You will have no other choice, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence is so wide, you can't get around it. So low, you can't get under it. So high, you can't get over it. Yep, your hands will be tied to realize you must understand. Whoever gave them their name, for who on earth will call themselves people or human tribe, it would be a breach of decency not to understand whoever gave them their name were not people or human. Meaning they, just like our earlier discoveries, stalked, studied, pounced, played, and became the assimilated that has fooled the world thus far. Think about it. The mass majority of them were nomads, which can only mean they were not under my God's angelic administration borders in the first place. Being new and fresh nomads, they ascended upon the earth aimless with no identity until given one. And to prove everything I just said, check out the origins of more than 14 million wild-ass African clones and tell me if the shoe fits. According to Wikipedia, Anna, Shona people, subtitle, language and identity. That's S-H-O-N-A people. Quote, the Shona are a group of Bantu ethnic group native to Zimbabwe and neighboring countries. The main part of them is divided into 5 major clans and adjacent to some people of very familiar culture and languages. It says familiar, but they're not the same. But let's keep going. When the term Shona was invented during the Mafeking, it's M-F-E-C-A-N-E. I'm going to just say Mafeking. Mafeking. Okay, we're going to study what that is too. During the Mafeking in the late 19th century, possibly the Ndebele King starts with an M. Listen up, listen up. It was a pejorative for non-Nguni people. Stop. Bingo. For the definition of pejorative, I would just tell the brothers, think of shaming tactics from the sisters. But according to Google, pejorative means disparaging, derogatory, slanderous, abusive, insulting, slighting. And that can only mean one, the native king didn't like the people who was encroaching upon his people. And two, there was in fact people that were not his people encroaching upon his people. Let's see what else they say about this massive encroaching people, shall we? Quote, when the term Shona was invented during the Mafkane in late 19th century, possibly by Netabele King M, it was a pejorative for non-Nguni people. Listen up and listen closely. On one hand, it is claimed that there was no consciousness of a common identity among the tribes and people now forming the Shona of today. I'm going to say that again. On one hand, it is claimed that there was no consciousness of a common identity among the tribes and peoples now forming the Shona of today. Example, bingo. Millions of new and fresh diversified clones with no identity of their own. And just as their name depicts, they were simply the humans and people. These were one of the roaming bands looking for a host of Aboriginal people to stalk, pounce, play, and become. But wait! To show you there is nothing new under the sun, remember we discovered in our Barbarian series, and our so-called Middle East series, and our European series, the necessary tool for future world deception was to put everyone into a blender, thus incorporate their clones into humanity without anyone ever questioning anything. You remember how Tiglath-Pileser used musical chairs with nations, thus today's mongrel Samaritans, or how the Huns pushed everyone down and mixed them up, thus finally giving us the only logical reason for a massive increase in population right after devastating wars, pandemics, etc. Case in point, close to home. I live in Atlanta, and we received tens of thousands of cullets from New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. Well, if we received that many, and Texas, Alabama, and the surrounding states received that many as reported, there wasn't that many cullets in the entire state of Louisiana to begin with. Nevertheless, one dirty, boring city. Somebody is lying. But I said all of that to say, if history dictates the evildoers use events to incorporate their clones, well, little Miss Ivy, little sister, support my rhyme here. Support my rhyme. You'll know what come in. Ladies and gentlemen, what would be the compound probability, little sister? Bam, little Ivy. Boom, the odds. The exact same thing. The exact same thing happened to the Malongos of Africa as well. To prove this, remember we just read, quote, when the term Shona was invented during the Mafkane in the late 19th century, we already know the Shona were foreign encroachers who had no identity. They were simply what their name of their race implied. They were simply humans. If you got that, check out what they used for their humanity post-event. According to Wikipedia under